Broken Controller Show. Not entertainment news, entertaining news.
Hello everybody, we are the Broken Controller Show. My name is Blake and I'm joined with my esteemed colleagues Michael.
Yo.
And Corey.
Hello there.
We have a few things on the topic for you guys today. What do we want to discuss first?
I think the biggest thing going around right now is probably the Fortnite issue.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
because they were doing so good for so long and it's been probably 3 or 4 days now that they've been having consistent major issues.
Ever since they dropped that patch with the slug jug or whatever.
Slug?
Chug.
Chug jug.
Close enough.
Well, and what is even going on? Like, I've seen party issues and a lot of server issues, and it's like it's all platforms wide too.
Oh yeah, it's everybody. They fixed the issues of connection, and now there's a social problem where people are having trouble getting into parties. That may be better at this point, but I still don't think it's completely fixed. I mean, it was bound to happen. Such a small game growing so rapidly. I figured it would happen before now, honestly.
Yeah, and they have done really well so far with, keeping things pretty
I don't
going
think we've
pretty
ever
good.
had a problem. I think we've crashed the game like.
Yeah, and it's probably been in game when it's happened too. It's never been something that's had us down for more than a couple hours anyways.
No, I don't think we ever. I mean, I don't even think it was 2 hours. Pretty sure the only time it ever crashed on us, we were immediately back in.
Can somebody tell me how many downloads they have now?
Crossed all platforms.
Yeah, but
A lot.
I'm about to say, because with that many people, there's going to be problems no matter what you do.
I mean, I don't know the exact number, but I know that they surpassed 1 million players, and that was like over a month ago.
Didn't what was it last week? They beat PUBG out on viewers on Twitch, wasn't
Yeah, they
it?
beat them by a lot too. Not even by a little. It was
Yeah.
like 10,000 people.
And it's funny too because when they came in, nobody knew about them, and you had these few Twitch streamers who were going along, just one or two of them, and then everybody started watching this, and they were like, "Oh man, this looks like an awesome game."
I'm sure being free had a lot to do with that as well.
I'm sure it is too, because definitely after playing it, I would not have paid any money for it. So it's a good thing that it was free. Well, the thing about it is for me, I can't get on board with the Battle Royale the way that they have it set up. I haven't played PUBG, and I feel like PUBG would be different, but since they brought it to console, it's just been garbage.
Agreed. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and tell on myself I deleted the game. I'm not a fan of it, and I had more important things to put in that space.
Like what?
Recordings of dancing on Destiny.
Yes, very important.
I wonder if it has anything to do. Did you guys hear they are taking their other game? I didn't know they had another game, but I saw it earlier. They have another game called Paragon, and supposedly they're taking the servers offline. I wonder if it has anything to do with that.
I think they might take the, what do you call it, Paragon servers offline just to kind of supplement the Fortnite servers.
I could see that.
And it could be something to do with manpower. I mean, if you take one game completely out of the picture, that adds so much more time you can put towards the other game.
That's true, especially when they have such a surplus of players right now. They probably do need the more manpower and the more space as well.
I don't know the size of Epic Studio, but I mean, I don't think it's 5 dudes in a garage, but I also don't think it's like Bungie.
I couldn't imagine it could be any bigger than that, though.
So according to this, there was a total of yesterday, which would have been January 26th, there was a total of 14 hours of downtime.
14 hours?
That's a long time for any game.
Yeah. Well, there was another game we were playing for a while, and they had about the same. 14 hours is usually not very often. It's not very often that happens.
No, 14 hours is a really, really long time. They promised some kind of reward for people losing the playtime, which, again, is free game.
So what kind of reward could it be? Because, I mean, you've got the only...
V-Bucks, maybe?
Well, maybe, but who would... Well, I guess if you're one of the people who, paid the, what was it, $11 to...
For the Battle Pass?
Yeah.
Like $10.
Okay.
I liked that, the Battle Pass, just because it added progression to it.
It does. And, I mean, there's still a little form of progression to it as far as, you still got your rank. You can rank up. You still collect your daily objectives or whatever you call them. But it doesn't really give you anything,
Yeah, there needs to be more.
Well, Corey, as someone who doesn't like the whole Battle Royale scene, what if you remember like the old school challenges in COD when you would get like a calling card and stuff? What if they had like a huge list of that kind, or even in Call of Duty World War II, like a list of challenges like that where you got like new tools?
I mean, that gives you something to look forward to and aim to, but it's still the fact of just going, I don't know. I get frustrated with the starting with nothing and then building up, and then I suck at the game. So I get dropped in a second there, everything's gone, and it's a waste of my time, more or less.
Well, we were the same way when we first started playing, and I did have to force myself to power through it for probably a good few weeks before I finally started getting better, if you would say.
As Unco would say, you got to just learn to start slaying.
Yep, gotta learn to start
get some
slaying.
slaying skill.
Gotta kill some foes, is what he says. Gotta kill some foes.
Can I just go ahead and throw it out there that I'm pretty sure they're like double Destiny players right now, because Destiny right now is showing 605,000 people.
Oh my goodness, Destiny just took a dive, man. Like they
were
were doing so good for so long, but it's just like even with the first one, after you beat the campaign or the storyline, there's nothing left to do.
insert Wheel of Fortune.
Insert-
Disappointment
yeah.
sound.
Yeah. And they supposedly have fixes for it, but we still play it fairly often, and I don't notice a difference from when the players first started complaining about it.
Yeah, and there's a point in any game, Paragon for instance. I mean, the game was okay when it went out, but they've reached a point of, I like to say, no return, and I feel like it's not going to get much better for them.
I could see that because
I mean, the last like 4 different times we got on, everybody in the tower, there was like 3.
yeah.
So going from, whenever you got in there and it was a full, and there's no room to walk, and now there's like, where is everybody? I don't see them coming back very strong from this.
That's the main problem right now, though, is there's not anything huge going on in gaming. Like, I'm struggling to find stuff that I want to play.
Well, I tell you what, I got into the wonderful world of YouTube earlier, and I started watching videos on Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, I believe it is, right? And I really want to play that game because I've always been a fan of the Resident Evil games, but I haven't played one since 5 came out. And that was...
You didn't miss much by skipping 6.
Yeah, well, that's what I've heard. And I remember, because it reminds me of the first Resident Evil, like when it came out on PlayStation 1 in 96 or 97, I believe?
Mid-90s.
Yeah,
In there, yeah.
and then they remastered it for the PlayStation 3.
I'm so confused about the Resident Evil timeline because there's like 15 different branches that go.
It is. It's
different
it's
directions.
kind of like what is it? Final Fantasy. It's everywhere. There's so many
Not
of them.
that bad.
Well, yeah, but I was watching it and I noticed that it's because after the first or second Resident Evil, the game itself became more of a linear game. Like you couldn't really do much exploring. You didn't have to put much thought into it. The game could only go certain places.
Right.
Now with 7, they've brought it back to kind of the old ways, which I really like. In the first one, you were in the mansion, you were roaming around trying to find the statue pieces and whatever puzzle pieces and keys and stuff you needed to get out of the house. Well, 7 is essentially the same thing, and I really like that. And with all the gameplay that I've been watching on it, it looks really good, and I really want to try it.
Oh, it's fantastic. And to touch on what you were talking about with the old school of searching through the mansion and stuff like that, there's one point in particular when you're supposed to get the pump shotgun, but it doesn't tell you that. Like, there's no linear path guiding you to that. So if you don't do it, you just don't have it the whole game,
Exactly.
which is awful. But Resident Evil 7 is fantastic to play, like solid 8 out of 10, but it is insane on
The
VR.
guy that I was watching play it, he mentioned that it comes with a VR option, and I was sitting there. I got scared
Oh, you
watching
should
the
play it,
video.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
I can vouch for it. He jumped like 3 times.
yeah, I physically jumped about 3 times, and I could not imagine that game in VR. I would probably have to keep a pair of pants next by
It's
it.
bad, man. I mean, because especially if you're playing with like Turtle Beaches or Astros or whatever.
Yeah, and you actually hear the 3D
Yeah,
sound
and,
around.
and you can actually turn around and look behind you, and it's, oh, there's a crazy man with an axe. It's the best thing ever.
I couldn't do it. I would have to play it in the bathtub, nude, so there wouldn't be much of a cleanup. I could just hose it down the drain, and I'd be okay.
Touching on VR, this is a little bit off topic, but touching on VR, Ace Combat 7, I think, is supposed to be VR.
Gangster.
Really?
And oh man,
That would be
Are,
awesome.
are they going to give you an option to buy like
G-Suit?
Yeah, well, a G suit and like a pilot's chair that you can set up in your living room.
Well, there was some overseas company, I think it was in Japan, that was working on a vest that comes down to your legs. I don't want to say garters, but almost like garters. But it plugs into the VR system and all that stuff. And of course, they've got the flight stick. But if you go into like a really hard pitch up, the vest inflates on you, pushing down as if you were getting G forces.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, so now you're gonna have people having heart attacks and aneurysms, all kinds of other stuff in their living room.
Hopefully, they make them to fit. I hate to say this, make them to fit healthy people, because if you get a 2-ton Tessie who's trying to play the game and they can barely get the quote G suit on in the first place, you've got enough strain on your arteries already. You don't need a G suit exerting any other.
I mean, like
force.
that T-shirt challenge where you see how many you can put on you before you die.
Yeah.
Not being able to breathe. And on the subject of VR, Xbox One said they were going to do it,
Of course they are.
but it's not going to happen for a while.
I mean, the VR stuff's cool, but it's still like, other than Resident Evil 7, it's still kind of gimmicky.
It's in its infancy. There's no way you could use it for any first-person shooter or anything like that. It would just be.
That being said, Bethesda, have you seen how Bethesda came out with it for Fallout 4?
Oh man, that makes me want to go spend a couple.
Well, see, here's the thing about it. I feel like it could be very awesome, but at the same time, with as glitchy as Fallout is, because there's so much crammed into one little game.
You have 2 frames per second on VR. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would not make the game very fun. Now, as long as you're not launching a bunch of mini nukes, then you should be okay. But
Although if you're running HTC Vive VR, you've probably connected it to like a NASA computer anyway,
probably.
so you might
yes.
not have frame rate drop.
And I feel like, well, Travis is gonna have to cut this part out because I've lost my train of thought.
Speaking of NASA, I saw probably one of the coolest mods I've ever seen for Grand Theft Auto just yesterday.
Oh god, Grand Theft
It
Auto.
was a legit space shuttle that you could get in, completely redone interior, and you launched into the sky, and it took you to basically another world.
Yes.
And you could fly to Mars, Jupiter, fight aliens, help out
What?
scientists. Yeah, I mean,
I have seen this.
it is probably one of the most insane mods for Grand Theft Auto
That's
I've ever
saying
seen.
something, because you can run around as a giant gorilla.
Yeah. I mean, you can do all kind of, but this took it to a whole nother level.
Speaking of mods, I think mods for console on Fallout kind of fell on its face a little bit. To be fair, I haven't touched it in a few months, so they might have been better.
I have a friend who likes to he plays Fallout on PlayStation, and he's got a lot of mods downloaded, and he was telling me about a lot of them, and it just seems like it would take away the fun of the game, because when I play a Fallout game, I'm one of those grinders. I like to get in there, like to search every little box and every little filing cabinet, looking for the 8 bottle caps here
Right.
or the 6 9mm rounds there, stuff like that. So I feel like getting the mod to where you go to this particular ammo box and it gives you 40,000 rounds of, whatever. I feel like that would just take the fun out of it now.
Well, the only mods that I really ever played with were the ones that gave you like realistic weapons.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the mod got taken down because they were using like Sage International trademarks on M14.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to do any of that. But I feel like if you're using the mods for, what's the word I'm looking for? Like for visual purposes, it'd be a lot better, because if you're running through the Fallout universe and you're a giant gorilla or you're Macho Man Randy Savage or something like that, I feel like it would be a lot better. But it kind of, for me, I feel like it takes the fun out of it if you're getting all this ammo and using the mods for all these bottle caps so you can buy everything, or even creating stuff. There's mods so you can create literally anything that you want to. That just takes a lot of the fun out of it for me.
No, I agree. I mean, anything that helps the progression of the game, I don't like. They had a mod that was an environmental mod it made it into like the Last of Us universe. Dude, it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
It looked really cool.
Yeah.
Talk about frame rate drop, but
Oh,
it looked
yeah.
really cool.
Oh yeah. Well, they did the same thing with Fallout too. There was a water texture mod or some sort, and it made the water look way more realistic. Like it almost looked like when you were playing The Last of Us. You remember when we all first sat down to play The Last of Us, we all thought we were watching a movie.
Yeah.
And that was on the last gen consoles.
Before it
And-
was remastered.
Yeah. And the graphics were just so amazing. And, it seriously looked like a movie. And then, they remaster it, and it looks so much better.
Now you've got Last of Us 2, which could probably pass for a movie trailer.
Yes. Well, they were supposed to be doing a movie too, is what I heard.
I almost don't want it because I love The Last of Us so much, and they're going to put it on the big screen, and it's going to be like some stereotypical, just awful.
Kind of like the reverse of Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, there's a movie called The Road, which is very similar to the whole plot of The Last of Us. It's
I want to say I've seen that.
this guy who played Aragorn in Lord of the Rings.
I got nothing.
Viggo Mortensen.
Sure.
He's the lead character, and his son and him are trying to get across the post-nuclear apocalyptic United States.
Yes, I have seen that. I know exactly what movie you're talking about. It is a very good movie. I saw a game earlier today. Actually, no, you were telling me about it. Sea of Thieves.
That's the only thing I'm looking forward to in the gaming.
That
universe
looks
right now.
interesting.
If it works the way that it's supposed to work, which all the closed beta stuff, it seems to be, it just looks really fun.
It's kind of a weird looking game though. I'm not gonna lie.
I always said that about Fortnite though.
That's true, but I'm still not fully on board with that either. So
You know, I just now realized that game kind of reminds me of what is the name of that game? Star Citizen, maybe.
Star Citizen.
What is it? Where you fly around, but you can either be a good guy, pirate.
well, you can do that in Star Citizen, but I don't think that's the game you're thinking
No,
of.
well, I know it's not the game I'm thinking of.
It just looks like a lot of fun. I think the main plot of the game, I haven't done a whole lot of research, but I think the main plot is you get your crew together. You've got to have each individual person has their place on the ship, like navigator and lookout, and what would you call? I guess the person steering would be the captain.
The captain.
Yeah. So you do all that, and you go out and you loot and pillage islands and ships and stuff, and then you come back to whatever the pirate hideout island is. You trade all that stuff in. You can get better weapons, better swords, better ships.
So basically, the point of the game is to sail around looking for booty.
Yes, looking for booty, but there's very minor PvE. Like it's mostly player versus player, but it's just a massive open world.
So it's basically everybody, you could run into the same people on the same island fighting for the same treasure.
Exactly.
That sounds like it could be pretty cool.
Again, if it works.
Yeah, well, can't you like sink other people's ships and stuff like that too?
Yeah, you can sink their. I don't know what happens after that though. Like I don't know if the people whose ships sunk just start all over, or what.
That'd be cool. You'd have to start back out in like
Yeah.
a rowboat or something.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Paddling across
Three
the
guys paddling across the ocean.
Either way, I mean, I think it's going to be fun. It certainly seems like something that we would be interested in. I mean, the graphics are a little cartoony.
Very well, I would say very.
Well, they're very cartoony, but I'm saying they're a little bit cartoony even for my taste.
Well, yeah, and it's definitely a lot more cartoony than Fortnite, I believe. But at the same time,
I'm just begging for good gameplay. I don't care if it looks
Yeah.
like Mario.
and yeah, that's where I'm at this point because I remember seeing this meme and it was like a game from the early 2000s and it was talking about, gamers were like, oh, these graphics are so amazing. And then it shows a picture from a game that just came out and all the new gamers are like, these graphics suck. It's like, you don't even realize how far graphics have come, So that being said, graphics for me at this point don't really matter because like we discussed a little while ago, games are just getting to the point to where they're just, these developers are just pumping them out to try to get the next thing out and just trying to get, I think they're just trying to get more money. Like they don't.
Well, I mean, obviously, that's the end goal.
Microtransaction joys.
Oh my
man.
goodness.
You want to just
don't
go
even-
through a separate episode?
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to get Blake triggered.
Well, the trigger has happened. You have pulled it, sir. Rockstar, hello. What is even going on with that? And
I would rather jump Activision over Microtransactions.
I don't know because
I don't know.
I've always preferred GTA over any Call of Duty.
Well, I know you guys don't really follow it, but EA just pulled like the biggest microtransaction paywall ever on Battlefront 2. So bad that they went and changed it.
Yeah, I heard about
They
that.
made like a public statement. They were like, we're sorry. We're not sorry. We're sorry we got caught.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, and what Rockstar has been doing, and if you have played the game pretty much ever since last gen consoles, you've been starting to see this develop a lot more and a lot more. They've pretty much geared the game to where you have to use your real world money to get anywhere in the game.
Or just waste your life away.
Well, yeah, but even then, all of us have put in countless hours and countless hours of time into that game. And even if we sit and grind for 8 hours, we might have $500,000 to $1 million. You can't buy anything with that because
Not
they keep
anything
coming.
awesome.
Yeah, they keep pushing these updates out, and stuff just keeps getting more and more expensive. And they said that people, the reason they're doing it is because some players have more time and some players have more money. For me, that doesn't really seem right because the way that they have it geared, it seems like even if they're trying to help the players that have more time, it's still set up to
We're
where
not
you
going
can,
about it right.
yeah, it's still set up to where you can have all the time in the world and still not get anywhere near the players that have more money.
So apparently, Sea of Thieves is, at the very least, a timed exclusive on Xbox One. So what are you doing, Sony? That's 2 really good-looking games that you've lost to Microsoft on timed exclusives.
I'm telling you, the trigger has been pulled, sir. What are come off it, you know?
Oh, it's highly unlikely that Sea of Thieves will ever come to PlayStation 4. Well, we're back to where we started, guys. What do we want to play?
We might as well just buy. Let's all go find some GameCubes and buy those, and we'll start playing those.
I got it. Let's just go back to No Man's Sky and that wonderful game.
No Man's
Speaking
Sky.
of that, I thought of this the other day, and I forgot to tell you guys about this. What is that? What is their algorithm called that they use to...
Procedural generate.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking for Destiny 2.
We'll take a break for a minute, Travis. You're gonna have to cut this out.
What is
too.
happening over here? Corey's leaning into his computer like a foot in front of his microphone.
Tell me if you can hear me. Just
Well, now they can. When you were talking a minute ago. No, it wasn't.
Your computer does have a microphone, but that's not what we're recording on.
Anyway,
whatever.
so the Destiny 2 thing. From what I gather, again, I never played the first Destiny, but each weapon that you could pick up had different stuff with it, right? Like it was always different.
What do you mean? Like
You had different perks, different stuff like that on the weapons.
with Destiny?
Yeah, the first one.
I don't
By the time they were done with it, maybe not when it released, but
I don't think so. Do you remember that, Corey?
I don't know.
so
I'm trying. What?
either way, the point sticks. It's use your procedurally generated thing
Mhm.
and put it on all the armor and all the weapons.
Mhm.
So you might get the same weapon again, but instead of just being a higher light level, it might generate orbs. I know they do that with the Masterworks. But
Oh, okay. So
I see. Yeah.
yeah, you're saying stick the procedural generation software to the gear and armor. Okay.
Almost like Call of Duty does with their. Now, not necessarily with the damage and stuff of the weapon, but how Call of Duty does with their epic guns and stuff like that. The different variation. Yeah, I could totally.
except I'm saying like mess with the damage
yeah.
and stuff on the Destiny.
Yeah.
ones. Like you might have 4 origin stories. One of them is really good at killing Vex, and I mean you've got your different.
But I can see what you're saying. Make it a more user-friendly way to do it.
Yeah, because I mean the game is fun. I enjoy playing the game. It's just really kind of it's demoralizing when we play for 4 hours and I get the same exotic that I've gotten 3 of already,
Or 15 gauntlets.
or 15 gauntlets. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Y'all are just still jealous because I have the best-looking cloak out of anybody.
I disagree. Mine's pretty.
You won't ever go back to the
I
Leviathan.
don't need to go back to the Leviathan because I've got a sexy cloak and you guys are jealous about it. And I got an awesome sword from it.
Got a rocket.
You did get a rocket, but my sword's better. We all
Sword
know
is
it
better. I
Yeah.
never use any of the power weapons other than a sword. So
Yeah, well, I mean, it's there's really no point in it anymore.
I got an auto rifle.
wasn't it the pulse rifle? I thought you got the vigilant wing.
Oh, that thing's pretty crazy, but you can't control it.
No, well, yeah, it's got a 5-round burst, and the last 2 rounds do extra damage, but they're 20 feet over the target.
What is it? What's the minigun?
Oh, something about it. Something about work.
Hard work?
No, daggone it. No, sweet something.
Sweet business.
Sweet
business.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That was kind
thing
of close.
is awesome. I love that thing because you can just hold the trigger for days and it just keeps going.
And it gets faster the longer you hold it. And I mean, yeah, its damage may not be up there with some other guns, but as many rounds as you're throwing. And the cool thing I found out is if you're a Titan, you have the half shield. So you can be crouched down behind it, and anytime that you're up shooting and drop down and back up, it automatically reloads it. So you can literally go through your ammo in a minute, all of it.
I want to say that I had a perk of some sort on it when I had it, and if I want to say if I either killed an enemy or something like that. I think it was if I killed an enemy, then it automatically when I picked up ammo, it refed into the magazine. So if I was walking and shooting, I could shoot 1,000 rounds before, unless somebody didn't drop ammo, I could shoot, however many rounds.
I had a sidearm, I think, that did that. Wasn't it right?
Yeah, I know several of the hand cannons have the one where if you land precision shots, it reloads of their
I just
ammo.
don't know where Destiny's going to end up, which sucks because I really do like the game.
Yeah, the
It's-
first one was fantastic.
After they fixed it.
See, that's what I'm thinking with Destiny too. It's going to be a good game 3 years into its life cycle, which is ridiculous.
That could be. I mean, I didn't play Destiny, the original Destiny, early enough to know how its players were when it first came out. If it did the same thing where it had a bunch and then dropped off and then kind of picked back up once the game got better. But I'm hoping it does that with this. But
I want to say that even if it does, Destiny players are so over it at this point that Bungie has probably lost a lot of player base from
yeah,
it.
and I'm getting really tired of this. Now there's all kinds of lore videos of you have 5 different types of enemies. Well, right now I think we only have 4, so there's supposed to be a 5th one, but they haven't introduced it yet. And it's starting to make me mad that we continually are fighting the Vex, and they're just reskinning them, and that is absolutely just pushing my buttons. I'm tired of fighting them.
That's the main reason that I did not want to download the DLC, because I just absolutely cannot stand trying to mess with the Vex. Because for one, they never drop any ammo, and it angers me to no
They
end.
drop plenty of power ammo, but that's it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something they've done, because it didn't used to be like that.
Well, I remember in the first one, fighting the Vex was the same way. They never dropped any ammo, and it seemed like at the beginning of this one, it wasn't as bad. But then they come out with the Curse of Osiris, and it's just like, no, you guys can't have any ammo anymore. Just so you know,
But by golly, you can sword somebody to death.
you can drop a lot of power ammo. Yep.
I agree with you though, Blake. I think the hardcore Destiny community as a whole has such a sour taste in their mouth because of all this. Even if they do fix it, the players they gain will be new players.
Oh yeah, and it'll be people who probably younger players who, their mama or papa or somebody goes to the game store and tries to buy them a game, and all
It's
they know,
$4.99.
yeah, all they know is that it was a cheap game, but it looks cool because it's got space monsters and stuff like that.
Infinite Warfare.
Yeah. And, they buy it, and the kids are like, oh, man, I didn't want this game. And they're like, you be grateful, you little turd. So, they end up playing it anyways.
I don't know. I'm not a huge, like I said, I love the gameplay, but God, the grinding is really starting to get old for me.
I don't know what's worse. What is worse, Grand Theft Auto grinding or Destiny grinding?
Grand Theft Auto grinding
Grand
is
Theft Auto
definitely way worse.
Yeah.
But there's so many different ways you can grind. In Destiny, it's like you can either, Nightfall, Trials, or, Crucible in general.
At least those reset every week, though. Oh, well, other than the Crucible. But, I mean, on GTA, it's literally you're doing executive CEO missions forever.
I would put it this way, though. The grinding in Grand Theft Auto is worse because it takes so much longer to accomplish whatever goal you're doing. You can have more fun because if you get tired of doing missions, then you just tear off and start blowing stuff up and killing
Right.
people.
See how far you can jump a semi.
Yeah, exactly. And in Destiny, you're just doing the same exact 5 or
Literally.
6 things over and over and over.
With the Vex, I might add.
Yeah, with the Vex. Yeah. So I
Tired
don't
of
know.
Pyramidion Nightfalls.
Yes, they need to come out with some more. You figured they would have. Well, they did. They did come out with some new Nightfalls with the Curse of Osiris, but like
What?
1 or 2,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, I just want a Nightfall pack
Yeah.
Yeah.
with like 10 new missions.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Get rid of the old ones, or maybe have like a choice. How Battlefield does when you buy DLC with them, you have a choice between cycling through all of them, or you can choose which DLC you want to play on.
But you can select the heroic strikes that are just Curse of Osiris, but then it's just heroic strikes. It's not Nightfalls.
Yeah.
I wish that you could. The way that they reset the adventures on Mercury for Brother Vance, you can do one a day. I wish they would do Nightfalls that way. Not raids, because the raid's ridiculous to do a reset every day, but Nightfalls I think is realistic to do a reset daily.
I think the raids need to be nerfed a little too, because those are just getting ridiculous.
I don't necessarily think they should nerf it, but I think they should make it where you don't necessarily have to have a 6-man fire team.
Yeah, because for one, it's hard to find 6 people, because if it's based off of mainly a 2-player co-op when you're doing anything else, more than likely you don't have 5 other friends or 4 other friends that can get in with you and play the game. I mean, it's just hard to find that many people, first of all, unless you're using the Destiny app, and
Yeah.
even then you don't know who you're getting into a game with.
Worked out pretty well for us.
It did. At least for me, anyways, because I got a cloak and a sword.
We got Ingrams that had gauntlets in them.
You did.
More and more gauntlets.
Plenty of
and
boots,
no
too.
cloaks. Yeah. Oh man, well, that was a good tangent to get off
Yeah,
on.
that was a good tangent.
Get tangent on Destiny for like an hour.
Poor Destiny. I'm sorry we pick on you so much. Deep down, we may love you.
Deep down, very deep.
Very
really
deep.
deep down, buried under some nasty stuff that you can't say over the air.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen. I guess we appreciate you guys coming in today, listening, viewing. If you're watching on YouTube, we're still
Technically listening.
still technically listening. But we have been.
We were gonna put it on YouTube, but Corey didn't have enough moose. He
Yeah.
ran out right before
Ran
the
out.
show.
If,
All
if
the
anybody was curious, my hair is nice and done. I put some very, very strong holding hair gel. I can't tell you what kind of style it's in, but
I would say like boy band messy.
I could see that, like a drunk Backstreet Boy or something.
yeah. Got the Gucci pepper spray on, you know. That's a story for later.
We appreciate everybody coming in today. We have been the Broken Controller Show, and we'll see you guys next time. All right.